Chucky says that Andy and Kyle are dead. Again, I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe it. Show us a body and maybe I'll believe it. Kristen here. It is the best time of the year. It is Chucky season. We did breakdowns every single week of Chucky season 1, including a really epic Easter egg exploration. So if you want to check that out, I will leave a link right here. But today we are talking about Chucky season 2, episode 1. Things are going in a whole new direction. After Chucky's diabolical plan to invade America's children's hospitals was foiled in season 1, he is back to seek revenge on those he holds responsible: Jake, Devon, Lexy, and even his ex Tiffany, who is now his sworn enemy. It seems like the Chucky army is still rising despite Andy's best attempts to stop him. This episode literally kicks off right where they left off. We get to see Andy driving this truck full of Chucky dolls. We get to see a couple of them having conversations, being goofy. There's even a bald Chucky, which is really fun to see. And Tiffany the doll was leading all this. Andy knocks her out. She is gone. When the Chuckies realize Andy's plan, they try to attack him, but it's too late. He's like, "This is for Kyle," and runs off into that gorge, killing supposedly himself and all the dolls. But I don't believe Andy's dead. I don't even know if I believe Kyle's dead. The thing about Chucky that's so fun is that everybody kind of comes back, which we definitely see in this season with Devon, who will return for another new character. After Andy sacrifices himself for the greater good, we jump ahead a little bit. Jake and Devon are both being sent to different foster families. Jake even has a new foster brother, and I feel like that theme of like the foster family is definitely prevalent, especially with Child's Play 2 and Andy getting sent to a foster family, and let's just say they don't always make it out in the end. I mean, look at the connection that Andy and Kyle had as foster siblings and how that grew. You know, that can be a really important relationship and family. You have a big Devon-Jake kiss moment, and then we get into that 6 months later. Where is everyone now? Oh, what? It is Halloween night yet again. And they try to trick us at first. It looks like, is that Chucky walking up to Jake's new house? Nope, it's just a kid dressed up. But that was like a fun little, oh, is that him? Is it not? And Jake is taking his little foster brother trick-or-treating. They're dressed as Batman and Robin, and he made the costumes, and I thought that was really sweet. It was nice to see him have this little bonding moment. You also get that classic Scream vibe with Jake getting these phone calls of someone trying to mess with him. Chucky is clearly still targeting this trio of friends in Jake, Lexy, and Devon, even sneaking into Lexy's house disguised as the ghost of Halloween's past to start setting that like creepy stage of like, Chucky's around, but why isn't he acting? And when we get into what Lexy has been up to, it seems like she's been struggling with the past and dealing with that through new relationships and drugs and things like that. So it seems like that's going to be a big plot line for Lexy. We get to see the Cross family in therapy, which I thought was really interesting and also brought about another really exciting Easter egg, which is the Belle wedding doll that the therapist gives to Caroline to like sort of help her get over her fear of dolls. And that is the exact doll that in The Bride of Chucky was turned into Tiffany. So I feel like this has to be foreshadowing that, you know, we already lost that Tiffany doll earlier in this episode. They're gonna have to turn this doll into Tiffany eventually, right? Like they have to. And when Jake and Devon come in, they're kind of like, hey, doesn't that doll sort of look like the same one from The Bride of Chucky starring Jennifer Tilly? And I'm like, oh, the meta-ness of it. I love that so much. It's so fun to think that like there's all these layers around Jennifer Tilly as Tiffany, and the way that they brought that to life, I was so excited. Chucky ends up Ubering with Jake's new foster brother to Lexy's house and finds them all together and is like, this is perfect. This is exactly what my plan was. I'm gonna take them all out. I got this homemade bomb. He gives us a little Scooby-Doo reference. If it wasn't for you meddling kids, I would have gotten away with all this in that first season. Chucky says that Andy and Kyle are dead. Again, I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe it. Show us a body and maybe I'll believe it. Things go a little haywire, and unfortunately Jake's new foster brother is the one that ultimately ends up being the victim of Chucky and this bomb. But they can't just say like Chucky did this, right? So it really makes it look like Lexy, Jake, and Devon were the ones that, you know, mistakenly did this. Instead of sending them to juvie, the therapist fights for them to go in an alternate route, sending them to the School of Incarnate Lord. This is another exciting Easter egg because we find out that the first season we were introduced to Burlington County Home for Wayward Boys. In this season, that location has now been turned into this Catholic school that they're all going to be going to.
Welcome to Incarnate Lord.
I just thought that was a really cool reference, and it sets up so much for this season. These parallels, first of all, to Charles Lee Ray's childhood and what our trio are going to be up to. You're also now in a place where Chucky has the upper hand. He knows this location. And there's also a little bit of like eeriness of like, this is kind of where Charles Lee Ray, right, like first started kind of coming into his own as a serial killer after he killed his mother, that I think is just going to make a really interesting location for them to be in. And I gotta say, I don't know if this is just me, but between the Bell doll and sending them to the place where Charles Lee Ray grew up in this home, like, is anyone else getting a little bit suspicious of this therapist? And at the same time, we end this episode with a mysterious box being sent to this Catholic school that, you know, of course is in the shape of a Chucky box, which I think we all know Chucky's on his way. He's coming for them. I think they've made it clear in this episode that there are many Chuckies that did survive this initial crash with Andy. How many, we don't know for sure, but enough that they were okay giving up this one Chucky to this like little suicide mission that went wrong. Breaking down the episode a little bit more, I will say I did feel like there was a little bit of like stiffness or awkwardness with Devon and Jake's characters. And Lexy, I'm like, how far can they go with this storyline where she's going down the route of drugs? Like, where is she going to go after that? There were some moments that borderlined on a little bit too cheesy for me, and based off this first episode, I believe that I liked the first season more. But again, this is only the first episode. I do love all the Easter eggs. Those are some of my favorite things. I'm excited to see when Tiffany and Nika and, you know, everyone else starts kind of coming into the picture. And I'm really crossing my fingers that that Bell doll gets turned into Tiffany at some point. Ooh, I cannot wait for that. I would love to hear your thoughts on this brand new episode, this brand new season so far of Chucky. What are the vibes for you? How are you feeling? I would love to hear what you're thinking so far. Consider subscribing if you like my videos, and if you want to talk more TV and movies with me outside of the comments section, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/kmaldo. If you like this one, you can check out more of my videos right over here. See ya!